So what we wanted to share with you to start with is our agenda for today, or what we're hoping to cover today. We want to cover a little bit about ACCES Employment, share how ACCES has been supporting clients from Afghanistan as well as from Ukraine. Share with you how we developed our model for these client groups, give you some real examples of scenarios and strategies and solutions that we put into place, as well as share some of the challenges that we've encountered along the way. We're hoping today our learning objectives are going to be on how to leverage listening skills to gain key insights to better serve our job seekers as well as our employers, and how to customize our approach and our plan for our audience. So a bit about ACCES. Our vision is a fully inclusive labor force that reflects the diversity, skills, and experience of Canadian population. And our mission is to assist job seekers from diverse backgrounds who are facing barriers to employment to integrate them into the Canadian job market. We achieve this by providing employment services, linking employers to skilled people, and building strong networks in collaboration with our community partners. We're very much a result-driven organization. So this is my favorite slide. We have a very integrated service delivery model, which allows us to target and customize our employment services to meet the unique needs of our job seekers. For the fiscal year 2021, we continue to deliver strong results across all of our programs. As you can see from these numbers, we served over 40,000 job seekers, and over 224,570 job seekers visited us either in person or online. We have a very large online presence, and partially that's due to our pre-arrival programs as well, supporting job seekers before they even arrive and settle here. So a lot of them access our services online. 82% of our clients achieved a positive outcome. And so that means that, after being in service with us, they either exited service as being employed or in training and education, depending on their employment goal. And 98% of our clients said that they would recommend our programs and services to others. And there is a quote from one of our clients. So this is a client for our Canadian Employment Connections and Engineering Connections program. I won't read it out loud. I'm sure you can read that. And moving, thank you. So a little bit about our job seekers. They're highly educated and very diverse. So 82 is the total number of languages that are spoken by our various job seekers across our 7 locations. The top 10 languages spoken by our clients is English, Hindi, Arabic, Punjabi, Urdu, and the list goes on there. And 78% of our clients are immigrants, and the top countries are listed there, and the countries quite match the language that are spoken. But the one that always amazes me is the education level of our job seekers. 45% of them have they're postgraduates. 30% have a bachelor's degree. 11% have completed high school, and 8% have a certificate or diploma. And only 6% noted that it was other. Here's another, okay, thank you. Sorry, there was a quote there. I just wanted to draw your attention to that and this is from a client from our job search JSW program. Thank you, Anita. A little bit about our employers. We work with employers across the Greater Toronto Area, Ontario and Canada. The majority of businesses we support are small to medium size, and we've customized our services depending on the needs of our employers. So at a current point, we have over 3,000 employers that we're working with, and 69% of them are small size employers, and 22% are medium, and 9% are the larger employers. And now I'm going to turn it over to Anita.
Thanks, Vibha. Just for everyone to know, you'll receive a copy of this deck following the presentation. So we'll have a few things that we shared with you. I was just thinking about what a disaster this would have been if our presentation was last Friday. I don't know why it came to me as I was flipping the deck, but just imagining. I don't know how everyone else was affected, but that Rogers outage really, debilitated me anyway. And I know many people, but anyway, I'm happy this is not last Friday. So we wanted to share a little bit about how we started doing this work, particularly with, we'll start with the Afghan refugees. And that began in October when Trudeau announced that Canada would be welcoming 40,000 refugees. So immediately our employers began calling us, and they wanted to help. They wanted to explore hiring and supporting refugees, and they were actually ahead of anything. They were the first calls we received. So we're so lucky, right, that they wanted to help. And then we immediately started to create a plan and try to spread the word and try to meet the refugees, because of course we had the employers, but that doesn't work if we don't have the clients. So we were invited by IRCC to meet with the RAP centers. We joined an info or a meeting that they have, a regular meeting. Many of you may have been there, I'm not sure. And we sort of presented what we wanted to do and how we wanted to help. And we tried to start collaboration. So this was our phase one. So we decided to have information sessions, and that was really to provide clients with an understanding around what a community agency can do, what employers were interested to discuss job openings and next steps to begin their journey. And we knew not everyone would be ready for employment, but we wanted, for those who were ready and very anxious to work, we wanted to make sure they knew we could help them. And so understanding, of course, that both with the Ukrainian clients and the Afghan refugees, many don't know what a community agency does. They don't know what to expect. They can't believe it's a free service. They don't know, what do we do for them? How can we help? Do they qualify? All of these things. So this was the purpose of the information session, was really to share knowledge and then to help them understand what service was available and how it worked. And then next step would be to sort of assess what their needs were. And that's where it comes into the listening that we mentioned in the learning objectives, is really listening to each individual client. So the info session is a sort of casting the wide net. And then we would go into sort of more one-to-one conversations with them if they were interested. And that would be the time to really gather individual information. So we started by marketing, and this was an interesting one, because we started posting in the hotels, and maybe some of you saw that if you were involved in the hotels. And we had an information session flyer there, and you'll see later that this was one of our original challenges, was that we weren't using a QR registration link. And it was someone actually from Polycultural who recommended it and said, people are having a hard time connecting because sometimes they're on their phone and they're trying to enter the path for the event to register and what have you. So we quickly shifted that to a QR link, which they could simply scan. So there's been some learnings along the way, and we'll cover more of those as we move forward. But we tried to sort of reach people in their communities, in the hotels, et cetera, to let them know that we wanted to help them. We worked closely with several agencies, many are listed here. So for the work with the Afghan refugees, there was Costi Polycultural, New Canadian Centre for Excellence, Thunder Bay Multicultural Association, Multicultural Council of Windsor and Essex County, and Catholic Social Services and Keys. So there were others. Those were the main players in the very beginning stages. And we wanted everyone to join those sessions if they wanted. Come with refer your clients, but also be there yourselves, so that that's a comfort for the clients if they have the people they first met at their settlement agency is there. For Ukrainian clients, we started to work with the Settlement Agency for Ukrainians, so CUIAS. I'm sure many of you work with them too. UNHCR made some introductions to the Ukrainian online community and a few others. So that was where we got started there. And we started to track these people that were coming to the session so that we could properly follow up. So we wanted to gather their phone numbers, their emails, any way that we could reach them to share more about upcoming events or supports they may need for employment. And then we booked, as people expressed interest, we booked follow-up discussions with our consultants, and those would be one-to-one around more individual support. That may not be employment, that may be communication training, it may be their PR or something about housing, and then we would refer back to our settlement partners specifically. Phase 2 hiring events. So many of these people, and I'm sure you're aware of this, many of these people were so ready for employment. And so we wanted to connect the employers that were excited to help with people who were ready to be employed. So, so we started to send out invitations for local and national hiring events, keeping in mind that we wanted people to really consider jobs across Canada. We don't want everyone to settle in Toronto. There are many jobs in many beautiful places across Canada. And we really wanted to make sure people didn't just land here and stay here because they didn't know what else to consider. Cost of housing, availability of housing is expensive here, is expensive and hard to find. So we wanted to make sure, and we have some strategies around that, which I'll get to, but we would invite them and we would make sure that there were employers there that were open to hiring people in other cities and other provinces, just so that we weren't only pigeonholing people to be in Toronto. And we'd send that event link and a couple of other resources. We have something called sensitivity training for employers. So it's really for hiring managers, and it's some tips, and it really helps employers to be a little more sensitive around the conditions that these job seekers are coming from. And I think often employers just don't know, right? And everyone's uncomfortable. They don't know quite how to handle things. How can I make people comfortably on board, etc. So we will share that with you following this webinar. And please feel free to use that as you'd like and share it with employers that you may be connected to. But you'll see that it sort of is a bridge for the people and the employer, and how can we make things work and really have success. So we would share that with the employers joining. We tracked things. We try to track as many follow-ups as we can so that we can also be a part of onboarding and support those needs. And the event itself was done in breakout rooms one-to-one so that there could be some good interactions. We specifically said to employers, consider this an opportunity to chat. It's not a job interview. You only have 10 minutes. Make people feel welcome. We really prepped the employers on how to manage that 10-minute conversation, focusing more on soft skills and gathering a sense for whether this person might be a proper fit for their organization or a role they have. And also keeping in mind maybe others you wanted to introduce them to. So again, a little bit of customization there. It wasn't really a hiring event per se. It was more, let's make people feel comfortable. Let's let them know there's support and opportunities for them and explore where that goes. So here's the interesting slide of challenges. So as we all know, there are always challenges with every, especially pilot, right? So we considered these at this stage, these opportunities to be pilots. We were dealing with people that were new to Canada, and there were many challenges. So we found the first one was really lack of knowledge and online literacy for virtual platforms. Not everybody was comfortable with Zoom. And this kind of ties into that QR code. And that was our learning, right? We started to use the QR code instead of the registration being a path or a web link. But also we realized that people weren't really comfortable with Zoom, didn't really understand it, maybe hadn't used it before. So we started to do some demos and training before the info sessions, or we would start with some of that just to try and help people feel at ease and not panic because they couldn't be online and get all the information that was available. We also realized that some people didn't have an access to a laptop or stable internet, particularly in the hotels. Sometimes they would cut in and out. So we tried to help. We didn't want people on their phones and sharing the phones so that other people could try and join. It was kind of awkward. We wanted them to be comfortable and really take in all the information available to them. So we started to provide loaner laptops. to people, and that really created a more comfortable space and allowed them to also join subsequent sessions. So in some cases, people may have needed some communication training. Pretty tough to do that if you haven't got access to a laptop. So we're really happy we were able to offer some of those. And I know the government did a lot of that. They had a loaner library, but we still found not everybody had access to technology. So we tried to help there. The other challenge we faced was coordination of services. So if we had someone we were sending out to an interview, for sure, they may need some clothing allowance, they may need TTC tickets or transit tickets. And that has to happen with, of course, the EO provider, so whoever has opened them. And so we'd have to coordinate this, and sometimes it was a bit tricky, but all of this smoothed out over time, and we started the collaboration a lot, and the streamlining became easier. But that was another thing we had to consider. And then, of course, I touched on this, was building interest for clients to relocate, because in some cases, people don't need to be in Toronto or necessarily even like the big city and the pace, but they don't know any difference. So we're trying to broaden their consideration and help them look at other provinces and cities. And maybe some people are really well suited to a quieter, smaller destination. So we're currently in the process of building a video, and the video just covers all the landing cities across Canada. It'll be available to all of you. It'll be a publicly used video that you can share with clients, and we're really hoping it will help people see the different options that are out there, because they just don't know, and so it's hard for them to consider Thunder Bay when they don't know what Thunder Bay is or where it is, right? So we're working on that and hoping it will be ready to share in September. And please, the other thing is, if any of you know of either settlement agencies or organizations that may like to participate and contribute to that particular video, please let us know. It will be small snippets from various people across Canada that can share more about those landing cities, the cost of living, the type, the style of living there, the community. And then, of course, another challenge was sharing or ensuring that people had their PRs or SINs. And we know there was some backlog there. And so the government was asking us to please proceed and help people with their resumes and put them in front of employers, even if they didn't have the paperwork to be onboarded. And we did that, but in certain cases, we found people would receive a job offer and they still couldn't work because they didn't have their PR. So we sort of had that challenge. We didn't know what. We went back to IRCC and got the advice that, first of all, they would try and fast track certain people that were in those circumstances. So they did that. And concurrent to that, they said, please tell people to apply for a temporary permit, because that can be processed much more quickly and they can start working at least with that in place. And meanwhile, we'll try to fast track or prioritize the processing of their PR SIN. So that was kind of helped with that barrier. Of course, language and communication barriers could be a problem and could be a challenge, but we try to introduce as many coaches and sessions and partnerships as we could for people to join, online learning. And we made many recommendations and we offered some training ourselves and tried to share the resources that were available to them through all of our partnerships as well. We first thought vaccinations could be, the other thing about language barriers, sorry, I almost forgot. It was suggested or recommended that we should have our flyers for info sessions in more than just English. And it was a brilliant suggestion. We hadn't thought of it. So we started to do dual language or multi-language flyers. I'll share one of them with you following the webinar as well, as the other documents we'll share in the deck. But we started to do, a flyer that would have all the information and the QR code in English as well as Pashto, so that, and it was recommended, and I see why, that they said, these people that made the recommendation said to us, it's great if you have generational families, you also have multilingual people. You may have some people who are trying to learn English. So if you have the both languages, they can actually see both and it'll help them as they're learning English. Younger people may be English speaking, their family, their older family members may be, just their mother tongue. So we wanted to have both on one flyer. And at first it looked a little crowded and we had to play around with it, but I'll share what we did. And if that works for you, it's a recommendation that I think could really support. Maybe some of you are doing that. ACCES hadn't thought of it. So it was a real step forward for us. And we're doing that as well with the Ukrainian clients now. So we've embedded that into the new processes. We weren't sure about vaccinations and whether there would be concern. As you know, some organizations have a vaccination policy. And although most people as they came in were given vaccinations if they didn't have them, it wasn't clear to us if anyone did not want the vaccination. So we sort of had to deal with this as we move forward. It didn't pose as much of a barrier or challenge as we thought, but it was something on our radar. And now it's a little less of an issue because most people have lowered their policies and they've lightened up on things, but it's something that we still have top of mind. And then the last two challenges are more things that we're still working through, but differing opinions on whether clients should work or not. And so many people, a lot of other agencies, community partners, we had communication with them around, they're not ready for work. These people should really settle their families. They should find, a place to live. They should get their kids in school and they shouldn't work yet. And really, this is where, again, I focus on the listening. And we said, we can't paint, paint, what do they say? Paint everything with the same brush. We have to listen to individuals. And it was undeniable that some people were very ready to work and others were not. And then we listened. And for those that were not ready, we asked them what other supports they needed. And we tried to offer them that support. Maybe it was just time. And we said, when you're ready, come back. We're ready to help you look for work. Maybe it was a communication. Maybe it was mental health support. Whatever the case may be, we wanted to make sure that we listened to individuals. And I'll give you one example. There was a gentleman that arrived with his elderly mother and two sisters. And he said, honestly, he said, I cried every night. I cried myself to sleep the first 2 weeks that we arrived because I felt I had safety for my family. But he said, I am ready to work. He said, I have traveled internationally. My English, as he said, you can see, is perfectly, I'm perfectly coherent and able to speak English, write in English, translate, etc. And he said, I am ready. I want to work. I need to start working. My mother may never work. And my sisters are nowhere near work. He said they need a lot of other support. So here we had one family with very different needs. We offered the sisters communication training. We loaned them a laptop. We started for the gentleman to start getting him in front of employers. He soon successfully landed in employment. And his mother was in a different category, and we were just there for whatever they needed. We did offer them some mental health workshops that we had running, if they wanted, and it's all up to them. We didn't push anyone, but we continued to offer as many supports as we could, and it was up to them what they chose to do. So that's kind of a good example of how you have to customize, even within one family, 3 different needs. So we struggle a little with this because not everyone is in agreement that people should be working right away, but some people want to work, and I don't think we're doing them. It's not fair to not offer them access to employment if they're ready. Outreach to clients and referrals from other agencies. So I welcome referrals from you. We know there are many refugees out there job searching and Ukrainian clients, and we've not reached all of them. Of course not. And we may not have the right programs for them at ACCES, but we may. So if you have referrals, please direct them to us or share them with us, and we will graciously forward them to other agencies if the programs are better there. Ultimately, we all just want to help these people, and are probably one of our greatest challenges is reaching the job seekers or the clients and offering them support. So if we don't reach them, we may have the best programs and the best supports, but we can't help them if we don't meet them, right? If we don't know what they're looking for. So I would welcome any referrals, and we could work together on that. The other thing I would say about that is when we're having a hiring event or we're having an info session or a networking opportunity, you're welcome to join with your clients. And I think that helps people feel comfortable sometimes. It's a comfort to hand them over, as maybe just they get a bit nervous. So, please let us know if you'd like to be part of any of these events with ACCES. You're more than welcome to participate. We'd love to have you. So we wanted to share where we're at. Whoops, I went too fast. So since October, we've engaged with over 200 Afghan refugees, and 184 are currently in full service with ACCES. So that means they have EO supports, they have access to things like our CMHA workshops, which are support for newcomers facing various traumas who may need some mental health workshop support. They have access to various other things, and I'll cover that in a future slide. But we're really working with them, assessing their needs. Maybe not all are joining the hiring events or are searching for employment, but we're trying to determine what each of them needs. So they're working with an employment counselor who actually speaks their language. We made sure to hire someone who spoke the native languages so that they can really relate well and support. For Ukrainian clients, we have over 500 that we're engaged with, and 300 are already directly in service. And this was really through the Ukrainian online community. So I'm really pleased to see that some of you are also working with Ukrainian clients, and we'd love to, again, collaborate and see how we can do even more for them by working together. But we have some specific supports in place. So just as an overall, to give you a sort of a broad landscape of what we're doing, we've delivered over 15 info sessions since October. And this combines the work we've done for both the Afghan refugees and the Ukrainian clients. Although that started in March, this is a combination of both. We've delivered 12 hiring events, 8 communication training workshops, and 6 mental health workshops that have all been really well attended. And this is sort of an overview of what we're offering. So if you have clients that you're working with, just to have a better understanding of what ACCES is offering, we are offering people IBM Skills Build. For any of you that don't know what that is, it's actually a self-directed online learning platform, and it has over 6,000 courses. So there are courses on soft skills, there are courses, it's not because it's IBM, I know everyone always thinks it's technical, but there's even resume building, there's mental health, there's all sorts of workshops, a little like LinkedIn Learning. And this is something that ACCES has as a special partnership, and we are offering free licenses or free access to any of the clients who may benefit from it. So we'll help them onboard. We'll even help them, instead of looking through the 6,000 license or courses, we'll help them to refine what they're really wanting to get out of the program, and we'll help them find the right courses for them. Elevate Talent is upskilling, digital upskilling. And we've already referred 14 refugee clients to them. It's free, it doesn't cost the refugees anything. It's 4 to 8 or 10 weeks of training, and they're better positioned with certifications and things for employment after. We are doing a number of events, including speed mentoring, and we've gone back to our refugee alumni and asked them if they can now become a mentor for some of our newest Canadians. So that's been really successful because people relate well when they've been in the same shoes or similar shoes. And then, of course, the loaner library of laptops has been very helpful. And we just want to share some successes. So these are a few of the jobs that we've been successfully placing our clients into. You can see there are various sectors, various levels. But it's really, we're getting some traction, and people are getting some really great jobs. So it's amazing. And we're providing onboarding support. So they don't sort of just get a job and then we walk away. We're there to help them. We touch base after week 1, after a month, after 3 months, and we want to make sure that we can help bridge any gaps. We offer, as I said, the employers the sensitivity training to help them on board, and then we're there to, even if it's just to bridge communication between the employer and the client we've placed there, because we want to make sure that sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's, it's a new culture, there's certain things, nuances in a Canadian workplace. So we're there to help them. We want long-term retention and success. Upcoming plans. So I mentioned the video of the landing cities, it's underway. And when that's ready, we're very happy to share it with all of you, and you can share with your networks, and please make good use of it. We're working with Tent on a hiring guide for Canadian employers. That's underway, will also be available in September. And that's going to be information around, it's going to be data and information about Ukrainian and Afghan people, but also a guide on how Canadian employers, like a step-by-step on how they can really successfully hire and onboard these clients. We have some financial literacy workshops being delivered by RBC, and we're finding that our clients from these populations really, really benefit from this. So we're doing those roughly every second month. So if you have clients interested, you can refer them. And then we're doing one-to-one mentoring, again, ACCES alumni and also employers, and just trying to really help people build their networks and get acclimatized to our culture. And then unique and customized hiring events. So some may be the large hiring events we're doing, and we're working with Talent Pool in Calgary on national hiring events. We've had Fairmont Hotels, for example, join an event, and they have opportunities in Toronto, but also in the West and East Coast and everywhere in between. So that's ideal because people can consider other places. And then we're doing, of course, local, and we're doing also customized and individual hiring events. So we have one coming up with Scotiabank, and they've given us 100 spots for our clients. And they really want to include Afghan and Ukrainian clients. So amazing. And it's all Scotiabank, but for anyone who has any interest in the bank, that's perfect. So it doesn't have to be the national or broad-based hiring events. We can also, of course, customize and do those for individual employers. And I think that's all we have to share. As I said, following, we will share this stack. We will share the customized or the sensitivity training for onboarding, and also the flyer that is multilingual. And we'd be happy to take questions. We're just so grateful to have been here today, and want to thank you so much. And we really look forward to working with all of you and doing this together. So I'm going to stop sharing now, I think. There we go. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Anita, and thank you, Vibha. I think it's just such a wonderful, comprehensive overview you gave, and lots of wonderful connections and insights from your work with refugees and displaced persons. So our first question is from Amal. So go ahead, Amal.
Yes, hi, Anita. Thank you so much for this insightful information. I just would like to ask, after, if the refugees are hired and they would like to change their career, so they would like to do a career change, they can reconnect with you again and then change in terms of relocating to other jobs?
Yes, absolutely. And so this is where it's nice to build trust with people. And that's what the consultants try to do. And I'm sure you're very well aware of that too. It's important that people feel comfortable being open, right? So we always say to the job seekers, what's your long-term goal? What's your immediate goal? Because we have certain employers, and I can mention one is SciCan, and they're a medical manufacturing plant. And it's for a plant environment, it's lovely, I'll say, because it's 9 to 5 work, Monday to Friday, and it's a very clean environment. So it's not, toxins and what have you. And sometimes the manufacturing can be a difficult environment. So this is nice hours, it's right in the city, and they are very, very open to hiring people in the initial months of their arrival. And they know that within 6 months or maybe a year, they might then take a different direction, and they're okay with that. They just want to help people as they settle. So in some cases, we have people who are highly educated, have a lot of experience, but they're maybe not ready for various reasons. They don't know where they're going to end up living, what have you. Maybe their communication skills need a little bit more upgrading. So this organization is one of a few that says, please introduce them. We're okay within 6 months if they want to look for that career job, right? So it's really nice if we can build enough of an open communication with the client to understand their short and long-term goals. We don't want people who have huge opportunities to be, in a low-end job, but sometimes it's what they need initially, right? So we are absolutely here to help them. We have a strong alumni network of 17,000 job seekers who come back, and we're happy to re-enter into service. As an example, with COVID, we had many displaced alum, and they all came back and said, can you help us again? And we were absolutely doors open.
Yes, because the rationale behind my question is some refugees would like to get an entry job so that they gain the Canadian experience, which is always required from them. So that's after some time, they know they're highly skilled, but they need to move to their own, to the related, profession they are already, came with, and the skills that they can offer better opportunities.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a great question. And we see that too, that sometimes people want to become part of the community. And so they want to take an entry-level job, and that's okay. But they don't want to stay there forever because they have so much more to offer. And we have gaps for those people. We need them in those jobs too, right? The highly skilled. So absolutely, that's a great question. And we're absolutely open to that. No question.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, in terms of providing support ongoing, it depends on which program. If they register with one of the programs here at ACCES, most of them have follow-ups up to, like our bridging programs do, for up to 24 months, and Employment Ontario for 1 year. So as we're doing those follow-ups and providing that retention support, we're certainly there even during that period within the 1 year or 24 months. We're contacting the client as well to see what additional supports that they may need, or if they want to move to another job.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you have anyone who speaks Ukrainian in your agency? And if yes, is it possible to invite person for information session in our organization?
Absolutely. We would love to come. Svetlana, what organization are you from again? Did you say? I'm sorry.
It's Dixie Blue Neighborhood Center.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's many Ukrainians settling there, right?
We have very, very big number of Ukrainian clients, and we also have link classes that are full. 80% of students are Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And we already organized a few very successful and well-attended sessions. So we would like to invite someone from your agency, because we have employment department in our agency, but they don't have anyone who speaks Ukrainian. And language is a huge barrier, because most of our clients speaks like level 2, 3, like Canadian language benchmarks. So do you have any requirements, language requirements for your services?
Yeah, no. So first of all, we do have a few people. We have 2 people already onboarded who speak Ukrainian and Russian. And they are ready. So yes, we have been delivering info sessions. We've even gone into the hotel in Peel, and we are very happy to come to Dixie Blue and work with you and deliver the session so people understand the services offered. Not everyone, we're finding the same thing, not everyone is ready in terms of their language proficiency. But we also have some other ideas around language classes. So if yours are full, maybe we can work together to develop some other opportunities. We're looking to build some language training as well. We've connected with someone, and we want to discuss with her the opportunity of her leading some classes. I know CUIAS, the settlement agency has also said their classes are full. So there's a real need. The other thing we're trying to do is we're trying to reach out to Ukrainian-owned businesses to see if they will allow some entry-level jobs for people who need to improve their English, so that if they're in that sort of comfortable space, that will help them with their English skills as they're also able to make some money and have some employment and become part of the community. So we would love to connect. So please, if you want to reach out to me or Vibha, and we can certainly have our info session is ready to go. And so we could
note down your email address from the chat, and definitely we can connect afterwards. We work very closely with Nitin and your employment team, and certainly would love to support and come out and do an info session, as Anita mentioned.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is how we find success, right? Is to collaborate like this and work together. And so we're very, very happy to, I mean, you're all doing incredible work. So, I mean, I'm seeing thank yous in the chat to us, but I mean, thank all of you. This has been a lot of work for everyone with the number of people coming in, and it's been very challenging, and we know that. And I think you're all doing amazing, amazing work. So, you know, we all have our piece of a puzzle, but it has to come together, right? So this is why this is so critical.
Yeah. Well said. Any other questions? I have a question. I'm just wondering about any of the arrivals, if any of them are international students who are also seeking part-time work or any type of work alongside studying.
Yeah, I haven't seen many international. Have you, Vibha, seen many international
certainly
students?
in Employment Ontario, we do see a lot of international students coming forward, and you know, they have limited number of hours that they can work and have restricted work permits. So we're certainly doing our best to help them. Most of them can only work 20 hours. And we're fortunate under Employment Ontario, we can support them. So we are seeing them there.
Okay, super. And
you know,
that actually, oh, sorry,
I
go
was
ahead,
just going to say, Jessica, that one of the employers that we should connect on Webba, it's kind of nice, you and I are connecting on this webinar too about this, is Starbucks, because we had a program with Starbucks, just for everyone here, that was focused on barista training for anyone with lived refugee experience. And it was really a youth program under 29. But now, and which would probably still be the international students, now they've come back through COVID. They had a lot of store closures, as you can imagine. And we tried to, just to the previous point that Amal had, we re-engaged with some of the alum we had placed there to try and help them find other employment. Now they've come back, their stores are opening again. And so we could certainly present to them some of those under 20-hour students. And that could be a really good fit, because they don't always need everyone full-time, right? They probably have several part-time. So let's talk about that, Web. And for everyone else, if you have those people in your database, you know, just remember that we can make some introductions to Starbucks and other organizations like that in retail, right? Might be perfect.
Mm-hmm. And just before we flow along to the next question, just to mention as a segue, Sheridan College and the city of Brampton are hosting a summit on international students. So I thought I'd just share that with the group, and I'll put the details in the chat box. But one area that they're looking for more information is around employment, because they're going to be looking at different domains of focus, and employment is one of them. So I'll put that in the chat box. If it's going to be an in-person I guess, summit July 25th and 26th in Brampton at Sheridan. And so that might be of interest to this group as well. So I'll put that in the chat box. And Leila, you're next.
Hello, as you touch this topic and international students, I have a couple of, I wouldn't say international students, but actually international students who had already graduated, because then they have the temporary PGWP, right? It's a temporary work permit. And I see that gap there because they're not eligible for the services, employment support services. They have, of course, the kind of support at their college, but it's not enough. And they face this huge issue when they graduate. So they felt like, okay, now I am here, I cannot find a job. It's difficult for me to, because I don't have Canadian experience. I don't have the support that I need. So this is a huge problem that I sometimes see as myself, as international students. I went through it also. So I don't know if you have kind of a spot for them in terms of support and yeah, helping I would say temporary worker with PGWP.
I think that's more to you, Webba, than me. I'm sorry. That question.
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Yeah, no, I mean, like international students, because you mentioned they have, of course, the difficulties to find a part-time part-time
Right.
job while they are studying, but actually
Right.
they also face a huge problem when they graduate because they are temporary workers, so they're not eligible for the services, but they're there. Sometimes they don't have the Canadian experience because they sometimes couldn't work while they're studying. And then they graduate and they are there trying to find a job with no support. So I was wondering if you have like something specifically for this group.
We don't have anything specific for this group. It is a challenge, and I think that's part of the reason why that forum is happening, the one with the City of Brampton and Sheridan College, is to address some of these concerns, because unfortunately, you know, once they do graduate, their work permits are still very restricted and as to how many hours that they could have, and they have to try to apply for express entry from Canada to get that immigration status. And it is a challenging situation, but unfortunately, a lot of the programs are also, it really depends on who the funder is and what their status is in terms of who can access that. But there are, you know, we do post a lot of positions, you know, that are open, post, you know, job fairs that happen across the community, and we encourage them to attend those and see if they can secure employment with employers. It's a challenge right now.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Great. Natalia?
Yes, thank you. I just want to ask, what would be the best way for us to refer a client to your organization?
Wonderful. We love referrals, so any which way that they come is really great. I can certainly post my email address in the chat, and you're most welcome to send the referrals my way, and I will ensure that they're connected with the right program within the organization. And hopefully a lot of those referrals are for the Ukraine project or for Afghan clients, but if not, if there's other clients that you're working with, I can certainly make those referrals.
I put our names, sorry, Natalia, I did put Webba and my emails in the chat, so please feel free to read them.
Thank you. I also want to ask, do they need to have a resume when they come to you? Or they can just come and you help them to create it?
Correct.
Okay,
correct. That's our role, is to help with those, when we do that assessment, is to help with those needs that they have to reconnect with the labor market. And one of those is the resume development. So we're here to support with that.
Okay, thank you so much for answering.
Natalia, just want to add to that. We found that many employers now have created pathways for people to apply for work without the resume. I think they're realizing that these people may be in crisis and they don't have, you know, it takes time to do a resume, and they just want to get them in front of them right away. They want to get their resume or their background. So IBM, for example, has a portal they created for Ukrainian clients, and people can go in and just have their you know, some requirements they have to plug in there, and then they forward it along and the talent acquisition team follows up. And so it doesn't even halt their progress because they have to create a resume. So I think employers are really being quite creative and innovative around this to make sure they're creating every opening they can and opening doors. So that's really nice to see. But we are here to do that. That's our job. Yes. We have workshops, we have one-to-one support, all of that. But I just wanted to share that I'm pretty impressed with some of the employers as well. They're doing some innovative things.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Maybe there's one more question out there. All right. Well, Anita and Webba's email addresses are in the chat box. And I just want to thank both of you for really sharing such an impressive suite of services and all the support you've been providing to the refugees in partnership. And I think that's really the underline, as you mentioned, is really those relationships between agencies and with employers and with the clients are so important to help with that customization. And this is a great starting point through this webinar to really support improved and more coordinated services. So I think that, you know, feel free to reach out to them. We also have our feedback survey, which we would love to have everyone's thoughts on. And we have the recording that we will share with people who have registered, as well as those who have put their contact info here. And just want to thank again, Anita and Vibha, for such a wonderful presentation. It really sets the bar high in terms of how we can really customize and coordinate together. So thank you again.